Hello everyone, welcome to VORTEX Vibes, your one-stop shop for all things related to this incredible AI-powered operations automation platform. Last time we scratched the surface of VORTEX's exciting move into the world of cloud-based surveillance. We even got a glimpse of the reseller portal, remember? Today we're going to build on that knowledge. First, a quick recap of the advantages of cloud-based systems, then we'll dive into how system integrators, those tech wizards, also known as SIs, actually use the reseller portal to set up accounts and portals for their clients. And finally, we'll take a peek inside the end-user portal itself and uncover some of its most powerful features.
Sounds like a plan. So to quickly recap, cloud-based surveillance offers some pretty compelling advantages compared to those clunky old on-premise systems. Remote management is a big one, right? Imagine being able to tweak settings or check in on your cameras from anywhere with an internet connection. Plus, you can wave goodbye to the headaches of server maintenance and those hefty hardware costs.
It's like having a virtual security guard in your pocket. You know, one thing that really stood out to me last time was VORTEX's commitment to developing their own AI-powered video content analysis, or VCA as we like to call it. Their algorithms are trained to recognize humans and vehicles, not just random motion. That means fewer false alarms and a much more efficient security setup.
Absolutely. That's a game changer for security. Now let's zoom in on how system integrators, those folks who are out there installing and managing these systems, actually leverage the VORTEX reseller portal. Think of it as their mission control for all things VORTEX.
I like that mission control. So what kind of superpowers does the reseller portal give these apps?
Well, for starters, it's where they create those VORTEX organizations and set up individual end-user accounts, each with its own dedicated portal. It's like a one-stop shop for managing all their clients.
So each SI can have multiple clients, each with their own little VORTEX universe.
Exactly. And from the reseller portal, SIs can allocate the necessary licenses to each client. This includes device licenses, which essentially allow cameras to join the party and connect to the system, as well as cloud backup licenses for those who want that extra layer of security and storage.
Makes sense. So the SIs are like the puppet masters pulling the strings and making sure everything runs smoothly for their clients.
That's a good way to put it. But it's not just about setting things up and then forgetting about them. The reseller portal also gives SIs the power to monitor the health and status of all their managed VORTEX organizations. They can keep tabs on things like device connectivity license status and even make sure their client's firmware is up to date.
Wow, talk about keeping a watchful eye. So it's like they have a bird's eye view of all their client systems.
Precisely. And here's where it gets really interesting. With permission from the end user, SIs can actually remotely access their VORTEX organizations to troubleshoot issues or provide support. No more rushing out to a client site for every little hiccup.
That's incredible. It's like having a virtual IT superhero on call 24/7. But I'm itching to dive into that end-user portal, the place where the real magic happens for the client. Can you walk us through how that whole process works?
Of course. So as we just discussed, the journey begins with the SI. They're the ones who create the end-user account and portal through their trusty reseller portal. They can even help with those initial configurations like adding cameras remotely. Once everything is set up and ready to go, the end user receives an onboarding email with all the instructions they need to log in and start exploring their own personal VORTEX world.
So the SI lays the groundwork, but then the end user is empowered to manage their own security system.
Exactly. And the end user portal is designed to be super intuitive with different tabs for various functions. Let's start with the Users tab. This is where the end user can invite additional users to their organization. Maybe other staff members who need access to the system.
Okay, so they're building their own little security team within the portal. But here's a question. Are there different levels of access they can grant? I wouldn't want the intern having the same level of control as the head of security, right?
You're absolutely right. It's all about maintaining that delicate balance between accessibility and security. And that's why VORTEX has different user roles, each with its own set of permissions.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more about these different roles.
Well, at the top of the pyramid, you have the admins. They're the ones with the keys to the kingdom, so to speak. Admins can add or delete devices, invite new users, grant admin privileges to others, set up those all-important alarms, schedule firmware updates, even see who their reseller is. They've got the power.
Wow, they really are the admins.
Yeah.
It sounds like a big responsibility.
It is. Then you have supervisors who have a slightly more focused role. They can do a lot of the same things as admins when it comes to managing the video content itself, like accessing playback footage, archiving important clips, but they can't mess around with device configurations or user management. They're all about keeping an eye on the action.
Got it. So they're the eyes in the sky.
Exactly. And finally, you have the viewers. As the name suggests, their primary role is to observe. They can view live feeds and recorded footage, but they don't have the ability to change any settings or tinker with the system. They're there to stay informed.
It sounds like VOTech has really thought this through, creating a system that caters to different needs of levels of responsibility. That's reassuring.
Absolutely. It's all about making sure the right people have the right level of access at all times.
Okay, so that's the Users tab. What other features should we explore within this end-user portal?
Well, there's one tab that's particularly important, the Message Center. You can think of it as a central hub for all the important events happening within your VORTEX system. It's where you'll find device status changes, user activity logs, even alarm notifications. It's like a newsfeed for your security setup.
So it's like a one-stop shop for understanding what's going on in my VORTEX world.
You got it. Now keep in mind that to receive those real-time notifications, those little alerts that pop up on your phone or computer, you need to set up alarms within the system.
That makes sense. I wouldn't want to be bombarded with notifications every time a bird flies past a camera. Where do you go to set those up?
You'll find all the alarm configuration options in the alarm management section, which we'll delve into a little later. But here's what's cool about the Message Center. It's not just about camera-related events. If you're using a compatible VOTech NVR, you can actually get notifications for a whole bunch of other things. We're talking about events like DIDO triggers, and don't worry, we'll explain what those are in a minute. Disk failures, PoE errors, you name it. It's pretty comprehensive.
Wow, that's impressive. It's like having a personal assistant who's constantly monitoring your entire security system and whispering in your ear whenever something noteworthy happens.
Exactly. Now let's talk about those mysterious DIDO events I mentioned. DI stands for digital input, and DO stands for digital output. Basically, they allow your NVR and cameras to interact with other devices in your security system.
So it's like they're speaking a secret language.
Kind of. For example, you could have a sensor connected to a door that triggers a recording on your camera when the door opens. That would be a DI event. Or you could have your NVR activate an alarm siren when motion is detected, which would be a DO event. It's all about creating a seamless and interconnected security web.
That's so clever. Okay, this Message Center is sounding more and more impressive by the minute, but what about the System tab? What secrets lie within its digital walls?
The System tab. That's where you'll find some of the most crucial administrative features. One of the most important is reseller management. This is where the end user has the power to control their own destiny, at least when it comes to their SI's access. They can enable or disable remote access for their SI at any time.
So for whatever reason they don't want their SI poking around in their system, they can just shut them out.
Exactly. It's all about giving the end user complete control and peace of mind.
I love that. It's like having a digital bouncer at the door of your VORTEX portal. What else can we find in this System tab?
Well, there's a feature called Auto Firmware Update that's actually on by default. You know how important it is to keep your software up to date, right? Well, this feature takes care of that for you, automatically ensuring that all your cameras and devices are always running the latest firmware. No more manual updates, no more security vulnerabilities.
That's a huge relief. I'm terrible at remembering to update my devices.
Right. And while it's on by default, admins and owners can actually go in and customize the schedule for those updates. Maybe they prefer them to happen overnight when the system is less busy.
That's really smart. So they have flexibility even though it's automated. Now, you mentioned alarm management earlier. Remind me again what that's all about.
It's all about personalization. Remember those real-time notifications we talked about? Well, the alarm management section is where you go to fine-tune those settings. You can choose exactly which events trigger those email or app alerts. So if you're only concerned about certain cameras or specific types of events, you can tailor those notifications to match your needs.
It's all about cutting through the noise and focusing on what matters most.
Yeah, exactly. Now, all this talk about user activity and potential security risks has me wondering, is there a way to keep track of everything that's happening within the portal? You know, just in case. You read my mind. There's a feature called Audit Log that does exactly that. It's like a digital detective meticulously recording every user action within the portal. We're talking about logins, logouts, changes to system settings, even the creation and deletion of user accounts. It's all there, time-stamped, and ready for inspection.
That's incredible. It's like having a security camera for your security system.
You got it. It's a really valuable tool for system administrators who need to keep a watchful eye on things and make sure everything is running smoothly. And if something suspicious does happen, the audit log can provide valuable evidence for investigation.
Okay, that's super reassuring. It's like having a digital paper trail for all your security activities. But now I'm curious about the VCA settings. You mentioned that VivoTech has developed its own AI algorithms for human and vehicle detection. How do those tie into the end user portal?
That's a great question. The VCA settings tab is where you go to ensure that all the desired human and vehicle-based events are being logged in the message center. You can customize those settings to make sure you're only being alerted about the events that are truly important to you, instead of getting bombarded with notifications every time a leaf blows in front of a camera.
So if I'm more concerned about people entering a restricted area than I am about squirrels running around my backyard, I can fine-tune those settings to reflect that.
Exactly. It's all about tailoring the system to your specific security needs. Speaking of tailoring things to your needs, let's talk about storing important footage. Cloud storage is a big part of VORTEX, but I'm still a little fuzzy on how it works for end users. Can you walk us through that?
Absolutely. There's a dedicated archive tab for all things storage related. And here's the really cool part. Supervisors, admins, and owners can actually archive important video clips to the cloud, even if they don't have a cloud storage license.
Wait, really? They can store footage in the cloud without paying extra?
That's right. They have the option to archive clips directly from playback, the message center, even deep search results and profile search results. Of course, a cloud storage license will provide a lot more flexibility and storage space, but even with the basic service, you have options for preserving important footage.
That's fantastic. It's like having a safety net for your security footage. What about sharing those archived videos? Say if they need to provide evidence to law enforcement or something? VivoTech has thought of everything. There's a public sharing option that allows you to generate URL links to your archived videos. You can then share those links with anyone you need, to making it super easy to collaborate or provide evidence if needed.
Okay, I'm officially impressed. It sounds like VivoTech has really thought of everything when it comes to empowering end users and giving them the tools they need to manage their security systems effectively.
I agree. It's a really well-designed system.
All right, before we move on, let's take a quick breather and recap what we've learned so far. I think it'll help our listeners digest all this information.
Sounds good. We started by revisiting the advantages of cloud-based surveillance systems, highlighting those key benefits like remote management and VivoTech's advanced VCA technology. Then we put on our SI hats and explored how they use the reseller portal to manage their VORTEX clients, from creating accounts and allocating licenses to providing remote support.
Yes, we learned that SIs can even add cameras for their clients remotely, which is pretty mind-blowing. And then we took that exciting leap into the end-user portal itself, uncovering all those different tabs and features.
Right. We talked about the different user roles and permissions, that impressive message center, and how to set up alarms, and the system tab with all those essential administrative features. And of course, we couldn't forget about the VCA settings and those flexible archiving options. There's a lot packed into that end-user portal.
Absolutely. And I love how VivoTech has prioritized user control and security throughout the entire system. I'm feeling pretty confident that our listeners now have a much better grasp on how the reseller portal and the end-user portal work together to create this seamless and powerful surveillance solution.
I think so too, but we're not done yet.
That's right. There's still so much more to explore within the VORTEX universe. Stay tuned for the next part of our deep dive, where we'll be taking a closer look at some of the specific VORTEX portal features that really make it stand out from the crowd.